Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor are hoping their boxing match on August 26 can prove to be the biggest fight in history. By biggest, we obviously mean most lucrative. A major selling point of the fight even seems to be how much it'll make. It's even marketed as the money fight. While some of the purists may be offended, the truth is fighting has always been about the money. It's called prizefighting, after all. In fact, the very first rules for boxing included one on how the purses should be split. While prizefighting has always been about the money, the one thing that has changed over the years is how they generate it. Each generation's biggest bout was limited only by the current technology. When gentleman Jim Corbett challenged John L. Sullivan for the world's heavyweight championship at the Olympic Club in New Orleans in 1892, the money made was pretty much limited to ticket sales. While the telegraph and newspapers were effectively used to promote the bout, and trains were now available to transport spectators across the continent to the event, the only way to see the match was to be there. Over 10,000 tickets were sold for between $5 and $15. Total gate receipts added up to $125,000. The $25,000 purse was winner takes all. There was also a $10,000 side bet between Corbett and Sullivan. In the end, Corbett would collect $35,000 total, the equivalent of about $900,000 today, and Sullivan would be out $10,000. By the time Jack Johnson and James Jeffries was held in 1910, a new medium had added another potentially lucrative source of revenue: motion pictures. In addition to the live crowd in Nevada, which numbered 18,020 spectators and generated a $270,000 gate, film cameras captured the action with the intent of exhibiting a motion picture around the world. It was estimated before the event that the film rights would be worth more than $1 million, but in the wake of the terrible racial violence that followed Johnson's victory, Congress passed a law prohibiting the interstate transportation of prizefight films. Fortunately for the contestants, they had sold their rights to the film in advance, with Jeffries collecting $66,000 and Johnson $50,000. With the addition of the $101,000 purse that was split 60-40 in favor of the winner, and the $10,000 signing bonus each received, Johnson made the equivalent of $3 million in today's dollars, and Jeffries only a few thousand less. In 1921, the Battle of the Century between Jack Dempsey and Georges Carpentier became the first boxing match broadcast live on radio. Over 1 million people are estimated to have heard the broadcast. 300,000 on personal radios, the rest from halls and theaters all over the country, charging for the privilege of listening to the match. The amount made from radio, however, was dwarfed by what was made at the gate. Promoter Tex Rickard had built his own 91,000-seat arena in New Jersey, where tickets were priced from $5.50 to $50, generating a gate of over $1.6 million, the first ever $1 million gate. The fight was also filmed. It is thought to have made millions being screened illegally around the country. For the match, Dempsey was guaranteed $300,000, $3.9 million today, after adjusting for inflation, and Carpentier $200,000, $2.6 million today. In addition, the two boxers split 25% of the motion picture rights. Dempsey's rematch with champ Gene Tunney in 1927 drew even larger numbers. A crowd of 104,000 produced a gate of $2.9 million. Another 50 million Americans listened to it live on the radio.
Dempsey lands a terrific left, followed by a hard right.
Film rights also generated millions, even with movie tickets priced only 50 cents at the time. Dempsey's purse was $447,000, and Tunney's was $990,000. Tunney, though, paid promoter Tex Rickard the difference in order to get a check for $1 million, the first ever $1 million purse in boxing, roughly equivalent to about $14 million today. By the time of Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali's 1971 Fight of the Century, a new means of transmission had been introduced: closed circuit. At 400 locations, the maximum number the phone companies could handle at the time, fans were charged anywhere from $5 to $15 to watch the fight. At Madison Square Garden, over 20,000 watched live, generating a gate of $1.5 million. Outside the U.S. and Canada, fans watched on regular television. It was broadcast in 12 different languages, with a viewing audience estimated at 300 million. In total, the fight is thought to have generated a gross total of $30 million, the equivalent of over $160 million today. Both Frazier and Ali had been guaranteed $2.5 million each. As lucrative as closed circuit was, it was no match for pay-per-view. Holyfield vs. Tyson 2 in 1997 broke all the records for money in boxing. A crowd of 18,187 at the MGM Grand Garden Arena produced a gate of $17 million. Domestic pay-per-view buys totaled more than $1.99 million and generated almost $100 million. The fight was also shown on closed-circuit television at over 1,600 locations in the United States, where it generated another $6 million. The payouts were also record-setting. Tyson made $30 million, while Holyfield got $35 million. The numbers generated by Holyfield versus Tyson were blown away by Mayweather and Pacquiao. The fight destroyed all-time boxing records for pay-per-view buys, pay-per-view revenue, and live gate. Over $72 million was generated from the sale of 16,000 tickets at the MGM Grand, and more than $400 million was generated from an estimated 4.6 million pay-per-view buys in North America. In addition, it collected record amounts from international television rights, sponsorships, merchandise sales, and closed circuit. From bars, restaurants, and theaters, the two boxers' purses also set records. Pacquiao grossed more than $160 million, while Mayweather collected more than $250 million. The biggest purse ever in boxing, for now at least. We'll have to wait until after August 26 before we know if Mayweather-McGregor can claim the title as the biggest money fight in history.